Welcome to the TFW podcast, episode 35. I am your host, Matt, joined all week, every day, triple threat style. Rhodesia, Eshaun. You guys got to give me something this week. Give me some good news, give me some good vibes. Tell me how you guys are doing.
I can't wait to talk about Backlash. That was such a fun PLE show.
You know what, my 4-year-old, his open house to kindergarten was today. The little man's growing up. Can't believe he's supposed to actually start school. So that's just pretty exciting for me.
Q, be graduating high school before you know it.
For real.
Guaranteed. Well, Rhodesia called it. I didn't know where we were going to start. Let's start right with Backlash. Rhodesia, I'm going to throw it to you. You started by saying how excited you were of the show. Take it away.
So we knew going into this that this was going to be really not too much about storyline, right? We knew this was going to be just probably some good, fun, entertaining wrestling that we'll see. Man, and I had a kind of a high bar for that too, but that really did kind of like outperform for me. Just the emotions and all the goosies that I got, down to even Omos having a pretty damn good match too. I mean, that I was proud of. I mean, just overall from top to bottom, especially the first 3 matches, I thought that it was produced beautifully. No complaints whatsoever at all. I was so happy to watch Backlash. It was so much fun. I know you mentioned last time this is probably a show to miss. I know you meant it more on the storyline side of things, but no, if you can go back to watch it, man, go back to watch it. Like for real.
Yes, family. Let me tell you guys something. This I needed that show. That was a great, awesome. I don't know, was it 2 hour and a half, 3 hours of wrestling? Just from start to finish, it was an amazing show. I've been kind of on a WrestleMania hangover since my boy Cody lost the way he lost. AEW wasn't hitting it the way for me. The Vince McMahon stuff was kind of affecting me, and I just wasn't really fully enjoying the shows like I should have. But man, that show that we saw Saturday night was simply amazing. As Rhodesia said, I started out to watch the show, to be honest with you. I thought
Why is that?
I thought it was one of those POEs that just, it was a show that didn't really mean anything.
Right.
Honestly, and we're getting into the match, I'm sure very shortly, the Selena versus Rhea match. I went into that match like, oh yeah, of course, Rhea's winning that match. I knew Selena had no chance in hell. Vince McMahon cued the music. But that ended up being a phenomenal match. The crowd reaction, just the crowd was so infectious. It was an amazing show, guys.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, and I said that this is going to be a feel-good show.
For sure.
And that is exactly what it was. I called that one right down the middle. I thought it was magnificent. I mean, I can use every superlative in the dictionary for what that show was. I thought it was an absolute special night for the talent, for Puerto Rico. We got to give it up to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
They brought it for that show to start with Bianca and Io. And they killed it.
And dog,
and
how
for them
loud
not
are they?
To stop being there for every single match. For Bad Bunny and Damian Priest to not main event. And they were still there for the last 2 matches. That speaks very, very highly of that Puerto Rican crowd. Shouts out to them. It also speaks to how much a crowd can make or break a show.
Indeed.
And that's one of the things that has really been missing from AEW, in my opinion. Granted, Detroit, Motor City, you guys showed up and showed out this week. So shout out to you guys. We had a really strong AEW crowd this week that was into everything. But that was what made AEW a couple years ago. Every single week. Everybody got that superstar reaction no matter what happened in the match. Every single move got that huge pop. And they've kind of gone away from that. Some of it has to do with, they're running buildings where they're only, getting 2,000, 3,000 people. Some of it also, I think, is just some of the fans are not as eager to react to things as we're used to from that AEW fan base. We know WWE can be either really hot or really cold. We saw it this week, or it was in this past week. Puerto Rico was really hot. Then we had trash ass Jacksonville on Monday, which, my God, do not go back, WWE. I swear, there is New Orleans. It's a certain part. I forgot what city it was, but there's a city in New Orleans. I think there's also a city in either Philly or New Jersey. My apologies if I'm wrong on one of those. Don't shoot the messenger. But it's one of those that's horrendous. Add Jacksonville to that list. For you to have to pipe in crowd noise.
Swear to
pipe in the wrong
swear to God.
crowd noise.
Wait. Swear to God. I was like, no, they took that Puerto Rican crowd into Raw. I'm like, that was the same heat that Dom was getting. And all of that, like, what? They took that SmackDown Friday and that Saturday Backlash, all of that crowd reaction, and played it on Raw.
And I guess the producers, the production talked about that, hey, they knew the crowd was dead, so they felt like they were between a rock and a hard place. Either let the crowd be silent on TV for Monday or pipe in audio. They went with the piped in audio. And that was a wrong call just because, especially in that Brock Cody segment, I see the crowd cheering. They're clapping that Cody's down on the sale, but all I hear is boos. Like, come on, man. We gotta be better WWE crowds and even production. But I digress. I thought Backlash was just fantastic. Let's kind of go over what our best categories were. Let's start with best crowd reaction. And Rhodesia, of course, I'll start with you. Who do you think received the best crowd reaction last Saturday night?
I would imagine that all three of us would have gotten the same thing here. It would have to be Bad Bunny. I mean, it's his hometown. This is his show. He pretty much hosted this show. So for me, I'm going to go with Bad Bunny. Are we picking Bad Bunny, or is he kind of like we're not going to pick him because this is his show? This was his show.
You can give a secondary one. I mean, I also had Bad Bunny also. E, did you have Bad Bunny also?
Yeah, I would have as the biggest pop of the night. It would definitely be Bad Bunny, but I kind of want to give Selena her flowers, just like that crowd gave her the flowers that night. Watching that show, gosh, I mean, you would think about superstar making moments. That crowd gave it up for her in a way I haven't seen them give up for a wrestler in a long, long time. And you can see and feel the emotion from her. During the opening of that match, during the match, like I was just overwhelmed as a fan just seeing a wrestler get that much love on TV, and it came across. It was very infectious. So I just want to give Selena her flowers because that was a moment, because we knew that Bad Bunny going in there was going to get a King's reaction, and he certainly did. But I was just floored by the reaction that Selena got.
Were you expecting that?
No, not like that.
I wasn't expecting it either.
I expected the reaction. I didn't expect. It's going to give away one of my answers that we're going to talk about, but I didn't expect her to have that grandiose outfit and attire for her entrance. That was what I didn't expect, and I was so happy that they allowed that moment to breathe. And I think they had the ring announcement. She gets it. She opens up, her attire. You see the flag, and they just left it there so she could get all that positive energy and that reaction. And then at the end of the match, where she loses and it's over, I was worried they were going to go cut right to a video package, and they didn't. They gave her that moment in the ring. We talked about it last week. If Damian Priest had to pick and say, hey, either you got a Mania match or we're going to put you in the co-main in your hometown against Bad Bunny, which one you taking? We said, hey, I'm sure Priest was like, give me Backlash. Same thing with Zelina. That was her Mania moment. That is going to be probably the moment of her career. I don't care if she goes on and she wins 5 more championships. And she's a triple crown. She wins the Raw title, SmackDown title, tag team titles. I don't think anything touches what we saw this past week. So definitely shout out to her and that crowd for being there for her. Rudy, did you have something on that?
No, because I don't want to give away for one of our next best. So I'm going to let you go.
All right. So let's go to the best look. Seeing I just gave mines. And mines is Zelina's entrance attire. I thought that they nailed it and everything we kind of talked about. So that was, for me, the best look was Zelina's entrance attire. Rhodesia, what do you have?
Same here. She displayed the flag when she first came out, and she had the flag when she was in the ring. absolutely breathtaking. I call it the feather flag. It was amazing. So same here.
What an amazing looking outfit. The designer, shouts out to that person because,
Sure.
when she came out, it looks like a regular like cape and gown type of deal. And then she spread her wings and she flew, y'all. That Puerto Rican flag opened wide open and the crowd went nuts. Right. And it looked great because it didn't, like, the flag, cape, whatever it is that they made, it looked phenomenal on TV. It didn't look cheap. It looked like
Exactly.
it was like a transformer, right? It transformed from a cape and gown to a flag. And it was just, her whole entire look was amazing. And it seemed like her walk to the ring was like 10 minutes, but it was just 10 minutes of love, man. And we need that in this world and in this life, to see that love, and you just felt it through the screen. So like her, I want to say, like, she had a level 10 from appearance to entrance to everything. It was amazing.
So we got a lot of love for Zelina. Let's see if that continues. Let's go best entrance. Who had the best entrance?
So I was gonna also say Zelina, but I wanted to give this person their props because of their pop that they got. I would have said Zelina, but I'm gonna go with Cody Rhodes. Just that whole beginning of his song, his entrance, and the lights, and by that time of the show, and again, this is the main event. This is already after we saw Bad Bunny. And for them to still pop as loud and as crazy as they did, for me, best interest is gonna have to go to Cody. Because I didn't want to pick Zelina twice, but Cody.
Man, I'm going with Bad Bunny because, man, if you want to see somebody who had the city in their hand, like, gosh, I hadn't seen you think of a real American hero, I guess a real Puerto Rican hero, because that man was king there, and they were singing along to the song. I just never seen somebody get that type of. Well, we've seen big reactions like that, but if they can pan out to that entire arena, he had everybody like on their feet singing to the song. It was just, like I said, like the show and the vibe was amazing. If you can go 1 to 10, I'm going 100 because that vibe coming out of that show and those moments were huge for me.
So I thought about it all week, and I am ready to put my stamp on what I'm going to say. And I didn't want to be full of hyperbole Saturday night. So I had to take some time, I had to really think it through, make sure what I'm saying, I'm articulating, and I know that what I'm about to say, for me, is 100% factual. Bad Bunny's entrance at Backlash is the best entrance in the history of pro wrestling. I have never seen an entrance that made me feel that way ever. And I am the biggest Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Anybody who's listened to this pod knows that. I was there in Detroit when he drove the Zamboni down to the ring. I was there for some magical Stone Cold Steve Austin moments. I was there through some magical John Cena moments, Undertaker, The Rock, name whoever you want to name. Nothing to me touches what we saw Saturday with Bad Bunny. If you guys don't know, I am just as much, if not more, of a music fan as I am wrestling. And I wouldn't call myself a Bad Bunny fan. I enjoy some of his music. I've listened to his last album when it dropped last year. So I know his music. I'm familiar with it. I had never heard that song. And when that song hit and the reaction from that crowd was not to cheer, but to start singing that song, man, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. I've never experienced anything like that before. And they were there for the entire entrance, from Cole laying out and letting it just go, from the fantastic call from Samantha and how she articulated and screamed Puerto Rico and that crowd popped, to, all of it. And, to them shooting to Damian Priest. And think about the spot Priest is in. He has to be feeling so much joy, so much whatever, but he can't show it, of course. He's the heel. He's in the ring watching this and taking this all in. That was, and I've probably watched, I've watched the minute and a half clip probably 10 times, 12 times over the past week. I've watched the full entrance a few times just to make sure what I saw Saturday was legit. And the 10th time you watching it felt the same way as it did the first time. That was just, I cannot think of anything better in a 2-minute time span that if I wanted to show somebody wrestling and they have no idea why you're a wrestling fan, and I say, here, check this out. I think I could show them that entrance and they would say, all right, maybe it's not for me, but I get it. That's how highly I thought of that entrance Saturday night.
I'll give it to you, man. It hit hard when that music dropped. It hit hard. So that's why when you mentioned that, I was wondering if your absolute love with music mixed with your absolute love of wrestling together, if that's why you felt that strong, how you said that's the best entrance that you've ever seen. I wonder if that is why you feel that way.
Well, part of it too is, and this shouldn't have anything to do with it, but I'm sitting here watching this guy who's the biggest artist in music, putting his body on the line, right, for something that he absolutely loves. He said it about a month ago that him wrestling his first match was the best moment of his life. This man streams billions of streams a year. He goes on tour and he's packing out stadiums everywhere he goes. And he says, my favorite moment of my career or my life is me wrestling in a wrestling ring. So I think part of that plays into it too, because it's like, he's not phoning it in. This is not a situation where he trained at the PC for 3 weeks and all right, let's throw a whole lot of BS at the wall and get some smodgy stuff going on. And we see 3 or 4 wrestling moves at the end of the day, but everybody goes home happy. They put on a legit street fight. So I think part of that was that too, knowing that, man, this is like pretty fantastic for somebody who does not have to do this to go in there and put his body on the line like that. It was incredible for me.
You know, another thing, Bunny was working, right? He was
Big
working,
time.
The selling, the way, the look on his face. I mean,
young wrestlers take note.
Man, he looked like he was a seasoned pro in there, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, shouts out to Damian Priest. I'm sure he laid out the whole thing, but man, you got to give Bunny his flowers as well, because he was in there working. Matt, you said it, oftentimes, let's just keep it real and say what it is as wrestling fans. Sometimes there's certain things that happen on our screen that we are embarrassed by, right? Like if my friend were to walk in and it was some of the things that happen on the screen or some of the things that are said, I would feel kind of embarrassed as a fan. But I think this show is something you can show a non-wrestling fan friend of yours, right? You can have them sit down. And I think it's something that you can easily watch and let them feel the emotion and say, hey, as you said, this is why I'm a wrestling fan, right? They can see the wrestling, the passion coming from the crowd, from the wrestlers. I mean, it was amazing.
And you have to be really jaded to not think that stuff is good. I get there's, hey, I only watch AEW, I only watch Impact, I only watch WWE, but there's certain moments in a art form, and this is an art form, where you say, you know what, that's not my cup of tea typically, but damn, that was fantastic.
Like that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. For sure.
A lot of people get that during the Super Bowl. Hey, I don't watch football, but I'll sit down and watch the Super Bowl. And they may get hooked, but it's too late to get hooked because season's over, and then it takes them that long to get back into it the next year, or basketball, World Series, whatever the case may be, Stanley Cup. But I think Saturday was one of those moments. And ironically, I didn't see one negative, granted I didn't look for them, but I didn't see one negative comment on social media about Backlash. And I think even the trolls knew, like, y'all probably need to sit this one out. It ain't much
for me.
They
took a night off.
Yeah.
They took a night off.
Yep. Let's move to the oh my God moment. What was the moment for you guys where you're like, oh my God?
I got 2. So I'll save that one for my moment of the week. My oh my God is, whoa, Brock first off, I thought Brock broke his mouth at first when he first went into the turnbuckle. Luckily, it hit him like right between the eyes, and them gushing out that blood, to me, that was like, oh my goodness, like what is happening here? Because to me, I didn't think that that was planned. And if it was planned and determined, I didn't think it was going to gush out that much.
You
It
know,
was
my
planned.
own, yeah, it had to be, right?
Yep, it was planned.
You know, my oh my God moment was that Bianca and Sky match. So like, because you know, Rhodesia asked me like, "Hey, why do I think this show's gonna be a throwaway?" Because it was so many in the matches to where I felt like they were predictable as far as the outcome, right? That's why I felt like going to the show that nothing really mattered outside of Cody and Brock, to be honest with you. And Bianca and Sky was one of the matches I was kind of down on. I know you guys thought it was going to be a good match. I was like, we'll see. But the oh my God moment was a couple things. Not only how good of a match it was, because those young ladies were going at it. They were putting on the show. But my oh my God, the reaction that Bianca got, the boos, you born the queen bee. I legit said, oh my God, like what is happening? I've never seen such a hostile reaction for that woman, and she took it in stride because she wasn't rattled by it. She kept performing harder and harder. Oh my God, this moment that Sky was getting, like the reaction that she got, I haven't heard her get this loud of a reaction probably since her peak in NXT, and that might have been like, gosh, maybe 3 years ago, Matt.
And yeah, and it still wouldn't have been that loud because they weren't working in front of 15,000 people.
No, it was
you know
a smaller
what I mean?
crowd.
Yeah, you know, and even the takeovers, okay, you may get 10, 11,000, and that was a one-off, where this one didn't feel like a one-off. This felt like this has been our girl from jump, and y'all are finally doing something with her.
Yep.
Exactly, and like for them, because in NXT, because you know, Matt and I were big NXT fans. It seemed like maybe for a year that they weren't doing a lot with Sky, right? So
Yep.
in the NXT, she wasn't, you know, I felt like she had a peak and she kind of really died off for some reason. And ever since that, and that was over 2 years ago, I don't feel like she's been where she needed to be. And they haven't really done a lot with her on the roster. Well, they have. She has been on TV and featured quite often with Damage Control, but that hasn't been working. So I was really surprised by the amount of love that she got in that match. Because you would think she was a superstar. But as a fan of hers, I was proud to see her get that love and get that reaction from the crowd. And she worked it, right? She played right into the crowd. Almost every maneuver.
She acknowledged it. She acknowledged she was getting a pop, and she did wonderful.
The entire match. And it was just an oh my God match moment for me, just from the reaction that Bianca got to reaction that Sky got to reaction that the work these women were putting on our TV screens. It just was a really great show. I said, oh my God, the entire time.
Rhodesia?
I already went.
Oh, you gave yours. Yeah, you said
yeah,
yours,
it was Brock. Brock,
yeah,
yep.
That was my honorable mention. And it was because he opened himself up hard way. And he's a master at that. So when I saw it, I immediately knew, okay, that's planned. In terms of the color we saw, the blood. And it now, after seeing the blood, you know, going into it, I'm like, how do you not have Priest and Bad Bunny main event this show? It was because the blood that we were going to see. You can't have that blood and then go 2 matches and then have a no holds barred street fight with no blood. So I understand the reason now, and I get it. Hey, no worries. My oh my God moment was Savio Vega and Carlito's return. That, and once again, the crowd being there, getting the goosebumps right now. The first chord of that music, they popped. We hadn't heard Carlito's music in I don't know how long. The first chord of that music, they erupted. That is special. So to see those two, and what I really, really like, and this is kind of getting in the weeds a little bit, but I got to shout out WWE because I think they did 99% of things right on that show. You get Carlito, you get Savio Vega, and all of that is a lead up to the LWO coming out to make the final save.
Bravo that it was not the LWO comes out, gets beat down, and then Savio and Carlito comes. No, how about we set up
are active wrestlers who are there busting their ass every single week, who are going to be the ones selling the merchandise, who are going to be the ones selling out the arenas, and we set up that moment for them. Thought that was genius. I absolutely love that. So that was my oh my god moment of the night. So we got two more. We got MVP of the night and we got best match. Which one do you guys want to go with?
Doesn't matter.
Let's go MVP.
Okay, MVP.
Mine's is
give us your MVP.
I'm going Damian Priest. Because and here's the thing, I don't want to take away from the amazing display that Bad Bunny gave us. But Damian Priest, man, his selling, like especially that leg sale from top to bottom, because if you look at the start of that match, it should have been over in the first couple minutes. Like, right? Mm-hmm. You know, Priest hits his finish. 1-2, lifts him up like, nah, I ain't done with this man yet, right? And then it just continues to go. He sold for that man. There was another moment in the match, and like again, I was never a wrestler. I thought about being a wrestler, and that's as far as I went. But there was a moment, I think, when Bad Bunny got Damian Priest up for the Falcon Arrow.
Yeah.
Like, man, so part of the entertainment that we see, like, it's kind of cooperative, right? But Bad Bunny lifted Damian Priest up in that move. It was so smooth, and he looked strong and powerful, and he did that move. It's just Damian Priest just did a phenomenal job of, I guess, being a ring general, selling facial features, trying to be a villain in his hometown. Come on, y'all. I mean, he put on a show for us, and it was amazing. Everything's amazing. That's what I keep saying it all the time, but it was amazing.
I have so many emotions on this. Mine's too was Damian Priest. They, for all the reasons you just said, they're completely putting over Bad Bunny, and he don't need to be put over, but he still put over Bad Bunny. He did it so graceful. And just one takeaway I had, I remember watching when the end of the match, and they kind of did a quick shot to him on the outside of the ring on the ground. And before even that part, throughout the match, he had this hard, stone cold face. And one, to live in that moment, to know that he's probably have all the goosies and excitement inside because he's wrestling. But to see him on the outside of the ring, I felt so damn proud of him. Just that whole match. I'm not even Latina. And when I saw that, I'm like, I'm just proud. Like, I'm an honorary Latina because that's how
I am that night. Just like Sammy was honorary Oos, we were all honorary Latinas and Latinos.
It's like, serious. It felt so good. I mean, it felt so good. And just to know, like, I felt bad for him because he was on the outside of the ring while all of the pomp and circumstances was happening in the ring. But damn, I was just like, Damien, not only did you put on, you still have to be on the outside, but I know if he was happy, and it was so much pride there. So he is my MVP of the night.
You guys caught it. I also have Damian Priest. And I mean, I can't add anything more to what you guys said. So we all hit that one. Best match. Last one from Backlash. I think Eshaun, you already gave us yours already. Did you not?
No, because I can go through a lot of them. Like the show itself, from top to bottom, was great. Like I said, I went into that show. You know, like it's funny. Like when Matt and I have our fan arguments, he always calls me a cynical. I can always tell when I'm getting under his skin, he called me cynical. Oh, he's mad now.
I've called him cynical twice because he's had trash ass takes. Now I'm always calling him cynical. Gee, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
are you kidding me right now?
It's not just on the show. This is for years. This is for years. I should have had a notebook. But I actually went into this show very cynical. I'm like, to be honest, so I have my work TV now, right? So I can game, right? And I can watch wrestling at the same time. Something's hot popping off. I'll switch and give the game in a second. So I started the show on the work TV, right? Went to Bianca and I went into Sky, and very quickly I had to switch to the big screen to watch this match. I couldn't keep my eyes off that match. Bad Bunny and Priest, amazing match. But I'm going to go with Cody and Brock because, God damn it, we finally got it right. With a Cody win at the end of the night and our music playing at the end for that hot Puerto Rican crowd. That was match of the night because they finally did right by my man Cody. They finally did right for Dusty, Sonny, and Eshaun in one night. Thank you, WWE. I'm not going to give Vince McMahon any credit, but thank you. Match of the night for me.
Hey, what's Cody's middle name today?
Sean.
Okay. How you spell it? SHAWN?
Oh, yeah. He definitely has the W in there, right? You can't have the U like me. It's definitely the W.
Got it. Matt, I think you and I are going to have the same. I think we're going to be aligned on this one. So I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going to say my match of the year candidate. I'm going with Io and Bianca. I think that match was absolutely incredible for all the reasons y'all have already said. Coming out to that hot ass crowd and them well receiving them very much so. Bianca getting booed and cheered, but booed and cheered and working right through it. Same thing with Io. I thought that what we wanted for her to do was show who she is and what she can be. She absolutely showed out and showed it that she could do that. And I'm happy that she was able to do it in front of that crowd that actually appreciated her. A little bit mad that Bayley and Dakota came out, but I guess that's the whole point of how the match had to end too. But overall, that was actually my match of the night.
Yep, I tweeted out as soon as the match was over, we have another match of the year candidate, and it was that. It was absolutely that. You guys heard the podcast last week. This is what I was most excited for from an in-ring perspective, and they delivered in spades. And of course, the crowd really added to it by turning Bianca in that match. And I love Bianca kind of had a look like, all right, okay. But it stopped there. I would have, and I understand you can't. I know why you can't because she's too much of a face right now. But I would have loved for her to heal it up just a little bit, kind of the way Rock did against Hogan.
I was about to say Rock.
When they had their flip at WrestleMania 17, where Rock completely kind of turned heel, Hogan turned face. Io turned face in that match. But Bianca was still kind of face too. And that's not even that match to me was just, like I said, match of the year candidate. Some of the spots they had in that match, the story they told in that match, that really put Io, if anybody had not seen Io in NXT, they may have thought to themselves, I don't see the hype. I don't get the hype. I'm sure they get the hype now. And I am really excited to see what they do with Damage Control going forward. We know they're going to end up splitting up. We know it's probably going to, I don't know how fast the burn is going to be, but even when they came down to the ring, Dakota was trying to grab Bayley like, no, let's not do this. I don't know if you guys caught that or not. And Bayley, of course, backfired, and you got the 1, 2, 3. And that was a way to go. Of course, you don't take the belt off of Bianca yet. It'd be interesting to see who her next feud is going to be with. Speaking of next feuds, just real quick, Natty. I love Natty to death. I think Natty is going to have a job for life. I think she could retire right now and be the best women's trainer that the WWE could possibly have. But that can't be Rhea's next feud. It can't be. Now, if that's her feud just for Saudi, I still don't like that. And it has nothing to do with Natty. Has nothing to do with Natty. But we know typically when we see Natty, it's for one or two reasons. It's because she's going against a rookie and she's going to help guide them through the match or the feud. Or because it feels like, oh, we don't have anybody else. Natty's going to give them a good match. Throw Natty into the feud. Natty ain't been on no winning streak. Natty ain't doing nothing. And she just comes out. And now I'm supposed to expect that Rhea's championship is like in peril because Natty decided it's time. I hated that on Raw.
You jumped.
He said, Natty ain't doing nothing.
Negative.
Don't tell me y'all did y'all like that? Y'all like that? Was y'all like, hell yeah, Natty's on deck. She's next for Rhea.
Hold on.
Is that what y'all said Monday?
No, but I'm not about to throw her under the bus like that. But I was gonna say
I didn't throw her under the bus.
You're right. You didn't.
Nobody will ever say that she's bad.
For sure.
Nobody. No, she's great in the ring. Mm-hmm. But we know what it is when we see her, and that's due to their booking. Just like Big Show, toward the end of his career. We knew what it was when we saw Big Show.
Yep.
They're going to throw Big Show in there, get a couple of cheap wins just for him to lose his next big match and feud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same thing with Natty.
Real quick, the match of the night for me. Did you think for a hot second when Bailey and Dakota came out, when they came out like their yellow gear, did you think for 1 second, like I did, that maybe, just maybe, Io's going to win?
No, I didn't, just because that wouldn't have made sense to how the match was constructed.
See, you think of wrestling so technical. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, but if you watch that match, we talked about how, like, okay, Ia's kind of the face in this match, right? She's leaning into it. The spots in that match, she wasn't cheating. There was nothing about that match that would have made it seem like, okay, Damage Control is going to cheat for her to win the championship. The only way that would have made sense is if she's like, I don't want to win it that way, and then we get the finish, but then you don't put Bianca's year-long title reign
right
for that. You know what I mean? So, like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, this is how she's actually going to lose. That was actually my first
Got
thought.
it. Okay.
So
they came on that WrestleMania gear.
Hey, Rhodesia, to answer your question, so, you know, most of the time, I'm not really emotional. I keep like a even thing about me. So I kind of don't really get up for things like I should. I usually don't get down. But this match had me up. So I became one of those emotional wrestling fans. And how's the phrase go in wrestling? Suspend your disbelief?
Yeah.
Right? I was on a for a ride. So for me, I thought, oh my gosh, there might be a chance that, you know, Sky could actually win this match because of that very scenario, right? Because I was buying into the near falls. They had me. I was in for the story. Now, the technical guy in me that I am in my heart, I knew that, okay, you know, this reaction wasn't planned for Sky, right? And the story isn't there during the match. We need to get Bianca to be one of the most celebrated women in wrestling. So like, yes, like I didn't think for a moment as a logical fan that she would win, but as an emotional fan, as I was in that moment, I bit. I'm like, oh snap, B is in trouble. B is definitely in trouble. But hey, I got a question for you guys. Let's stay with the Backlash for a minute before we move on to the next. Let's keep with the women. It's been a little discussion that I heard, and you know, I didn't even think about it during the match, but we think about, you know, Drew McIntyre at the Castle, that he should have won. You know, he should have beat Roman for the title during that time period, right? Because of the reaction, it would have been a great move for the crowd. Did that also apply for Puerto Rico with Selena? Should she have won the championship? And the reason why I say that, because I was listening to I saw a little bit of discussion online, but also I was listening to Busted Open, and Billy Ray was super big mad that she didn't win that title that night. And for me as a fan, you know, I didn't think she had any chance in hell in winning the match. And I don't know if anybody anticipated her getting the type of superstar queen reaction she got. So I think you guys already answered, but do you guys think that it was a wrong move?
No, it wasn't a wrong move. She should not have won. And I think she probably would have known that deep down inside that she should not have won either. She won just because of the reaction she got. Her being able to dedicate the biggest match of her life to her late father. She won in all the other aspects. Not winning that title, no.
Yeah, I think that would have been... It would have been a fantastic moment. Sure. Absolutely. Would have been a great moment. Rhea could have came out on Raw Monday. Was she on Raw or she on SmackDown?
Who?
Who's that? Rhea's on Raw.
She's on Raw, right?
Raw. Yeah.
And Zelina's on SmackDown, isn't she?
Correct.
I thought it switched.
So that in itself is the reason why you can't do it. Unless is Zelina. Well, no, Zelina is.
She's SmackDown.
Where's I thought the LWO was on Raw.
Remember,
I believe
wherever she is.
Yeah.
Rhea's on Raw
whatever
now.
we was. Right. The whole Judgment Day is on Raw.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that, you know, Rhea is the SmackDown champion.
Yeah, they got to do, and we got to see about that because that's all the way around, right? Like,
yeah,
Well, the tag
Bianca
team title
has-
champions they have both titles.
They're undisputed.
So it's
Okay.
really
They're
just the
undisputed.
women's.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a swap. We got to do again, which I hate that swap. That doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me.
Last time
but
we
to
had a
answer
swap,
your
we saw
original
what
question,
happened with Charlotte and Becky.
Shout out to
We saw that last time.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was a swap.
And
That was a real heated exchange, right?
And Becky's back, so shout out to her.
She threw that
But
bitch
no,
on
I
the ground.
think I think it would have been a great moment, but it wouldn't have been needed. I think she got her flowers in that ring by herself for that whatever long it was, 60 seconds, 90 seconds after the match. I'm good with it. I can definitely see arguing it, but then it's the matter of I'm not a hot potato fan. That's a hot potato because there's no way Rhea's not going to get that belt back. What, next week? You know, at Saudi. So for me, she received what she needed to receive, and I was completely good with that. That's a good question though, for sure. So I mean, what do you think? Do you think they should have put it on her for a few weeks, or are you good with the way it was?
No, I'm right there with you. I was really surprised by the conversation because Rhea was the hot girl. Like this was her first. No, her first defense.
You have just set up a fantastic segue with that question that I just thought about. Go ahead.
But she's just her first defense, so she's gonna lose, the title because Selena's gotten like a queen's reaction in Puerto Rico. Now I don't know, I can't think of the reaction she's gotten before that, but I don't think she was hot going into that match. She had a fantastic match or an awesome reaction, but to kind of cut Rhea down because of a crowd, and going into talking about the crowd, Matt, you mentioned it earlier. The Puerto Rico show, and even the Clash of the Castle, right? The fan reaction and people were giving at that show, as the reaction that AEW is probably going to get when they get to Wembley Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it great to go to these shows where these fans are just rabid and they just want wrestling and they're just feeling it and they're reacting to everything? It kind of makes me think about when AEW kind of goes to Chicago. Now I'm sure Chicago, you guys live there. I'm sure you guys are giving them good reactions. But I would say probably a couple years ago when AEW started, you guys were probably giving a scale of 1 to 10, like everything 20s, right, when they were coming in. But they had kind of flooded the market so much that, at least for me as a fan, when I'm watching it on TV, the reaction just doesn't seem to be there as much because, like, WWE, AEW, they're going to the same markets pretty consistently. Puerto Rico shows that if you go to a market you're not hitting on a consistent basis, when you get there, like, the fans are going to be there with you for the entire night. So these companies have to find out how they can kind of go to get to newer markets, and not kind of over
Saturate.
Thank you. The market with their content, going to the same markets over and over again. I think that definitely would be helpful for us as a viewer and also for those companies.
But hey,
We got to
why do that when you could just pipe in music? Pipe in noise.
Yeah, they tried that Monday. Trash ass Jacksonville.
Hey, Jacksonville, if we have some viewers and listeners, hey, Eshaun and Rhodesia, we love you. Okay, we just want you, to come back with a little more energy. Maybe the crowd had COVID and they were sick. Hey, shouts out to Rhodesia. Rhodesia is sick right now. You would never know that she was sick. It's like, when I'm sick, I'm a big baby, man. My energy is off. I'm out of it. But no, you would never know that Rhodesia is sick of the dog right now. So shouts out to her.
Thank you.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
And
if I am not mistaken, that is the other really bad
you missing
crowd.
one, Matt. You missing one, Matt. Is
Which
it
one
Milwaukee? I think it's like Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
No,
one of those right
no,
there.
it wasn't Milwaukee. It was
somewhere up here. It was somewhere around here.
I can't remember. Yeah, it's somewhere in that area.
You
guys
gotta
figure your lives out, man.
Those guys, hey, those areas, we love you too. We just want you to bring a little more energy. That's all.
No, we love everybody. I'm just saying y'all don't deserve another show until like 2027.
Snaps.
I swear, I think that should be a thing. And I understand, hey, it's all about the dollars. Because even Jacksonville, I believe, was the biggest gate in history in that arena Monday.
Oh, wow.
But I really think it should be, if you don't bring it crowd-wise, you are docked for a minimum of 72 months.
That's not
It's
cool.
just like a car note. It's just like a car contract. 72 months, figure it out. But E, you were talking about the international pieces, got to shout out Nick Khan. That was his doing.
Okay.
He said, hey, we need to go out to these outside the United States. You look at the success of Clash at the Castle. You look at the success of when they hit,
was it in Canada?
Of course, Puerto Rico just now. They're going to be in the UK or London for Money in the Bank here in a couple months. That was not a thing before they said, okay, we need to start going out to these different markets. And we weren't having Saturday pay-per-views either. So as much as we like to rag, or you guys, not you guys being YouTube, but the IWC like to rag on Nick Khan, he's done some really good things for us as fans of the product. So shout out to him for that. The thing that you said, E, that kind of got me talking, you were talking about
hot girl
wins. Yeah, no, you're talking about wins and losses. And I saw this Twitter post earlier this week. I sent to you guys, I'm like, hey, we should bring this up on the podcast. And basically what it said was wrestlers and companies take wins and losses too serious. And it's better to have somebody lose than not have them on TV at all. Let me ask you guys, do wins and losses matter in pro wrestling?
I can only answer yes or no. Can I add any commentary?
You can do what you want to do.
Wins and losses shouldn't count based off how they produce the match and the story that they're trying to tell. I think that if you are trying to build people, they absolutely do count, because what the problem that I'm having with AEW is that I'm supposed to believe in this new person, but then they lose week after week after week after week. So to me, you've already told me that they're not important enough to get a victory, because again, this is predetermined. So to me, it shouldn't matter, but I think it's important that it matters for those that when you're building characters.
Absolutely. I think that, going back as being an old school fan like myself, wins and losses definitely mattered in the previous eras of wrestling. So it's kind of difficult seeing how things are today a little bit. Because wins and losses, they do matter. For instance, like I just talked about, like how does it look for Rhea, a dominant world champion, right? Not only just a dominant world champion, a dominant woman, she's stepping in the face of men, right? She's getting in their face, and
Fighting
it looks
them, yeah.
like she might be able to whoop up on some of these dudes, right? So if she were to lose in Puerto Rico on her first title defense, and next time she steps in Solo's face, Solo can say, hey, let me go get Selena. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing? What are we doing? Wins and losses definitely do matter. And they matter more than people think, because for a long time, WWE would have someone lose and lose and lose and lose, like Natty, right? Natty loses every single match, every single feud she has for years. She's lost and she's lost, but they keep some point putting her back in the title picture. And I'm supposed to sit there and suspend my disbelief and think that she has a shot in winning this match? No, to be honest with you. That's how I felt about Selena going to the Puerto Rico match. She hasn't really had a spectacular win-loss record going into that title match. How am I going to think that she has any shot at winning that match? And why am I going to be invested in it? So definitely wins and losses matter. I'm not sure we got to the point to where some of the promoters and fans or wrestlers think they don't, but they certainly do.
I think that is some type of new age, I'm an old guy, get off my lawn type thinking that wins and losses don't matter. I know we're just in the minority in general with wrestling, right? Like the ones that really dissect it, really have conversations on it, it's probably 5% of the entire wrestling watcher population. So I understand that, but I also understand how you make stars. You guys have heard me on my soapbox before about this. Just really quick, run this down. If wins and losses didn't matter, Roman Reigns wouldn't be the biggest wrestler in the world right now. Wins and losses didn't matter. Bianca Belair wouldn't be one of the more recognizable women's wrestlers right now. Wins and losses didn't matter. we wouldn't be clamoring for CM Punk to come back here in a few weeks to AEW. Wins and losses didn't matter. We wouldn't love Kenny Omega the way we do after the series with him and Okada in Wrestle Kingdom. Those are just like 3 or 4 examples off the top of my head. That if you take away those wins, we look at those wrestlers in completely different eyes. They absolutely matter. And I get irritated when I hear that they don't matter. Because they do matter. I keep going back to Bandito. Because I was really, really, really high on Bandito. I think he's somebody that you can absolutely do pretty significant things with in your promotion. I just looked up, and Bandito, since he has arrived in AEW, has 2 wins, 4 losses.
Oh my gosh.
And I believe the two wins, if I'm not mistaken, happened on Dark and Rampage. He's dead in the water for what he could be. Because for me, wrestling is about emotion and stars. And in order to make stars, you got to get emotionally invested in them, and you got to get them hot. And how do you do that? There is a plethora of ways. Promos, angles, storylines, matches. But somewhere in there, they got to put some wins together. It absolutely matters. And I would rather you not even have a match. If you're going to lose the majority of them, then have the match just so I can say, oh, that was a fantastic match. But you've lost again. And now I don't believe there's anything planned for you going forward. And I am maybe in the minority on that, but that's how I feel. They absolutely matter.
So I can see, okay, no. I don't see that, but just playing devil's advocate, I could probably see why someone said in that question that you asked, the later half of it about, but y'all would rather them not even be on TV than to, lose. So yes, I think everybody who goes either to AEW or WWE, they would want to be on TV. That is the whole point, to get to WWE, get to the big leagues. I'm just saying that figuratively here, get to the big leagues and get on TV. So I do think that is important. If I could just get TV time, that means I'm doing something, I could build something. But for me, being the fan that I am, like how you said, how you are, maybe we are minority of the minority, that does matter like hugely. Because for Bandito in that example there, I didn't know much about Bandito outside of what you told me about, his history before him. I could have gotten hype off of him because he would have had a win after win after win after win, but he didn't. So to me, he's a non-factor to me at this point. And I don't think, based off how you talk so highly of him, that shouldn't be the case. So I can see,
and that's just one example. I keep going back to him because he's somebody that just debuted 6 months ago. I'm like, okay, they can do something big with him. We could say the same in WWE. Where they debut, like I said, Triple H has not hit on all of his returns for sure. Where it's like, oh, that person lost. Okay. Like I personally don't watch wrestling just for moves. I need to be invested. We talked about like just going to Impact, right? We were super invested in Trinity. That got us excited to go back to these next shows. Now I'm here for Trinity. Get me excited about the other people. And how you do that, of course, is through characters. Yes, through matches, but somebody's got to get hot. I need to be emotionally invested in somebody. And it's hard to be emotionally invested in somebody if they lose consistently. Because what am I invested in? Nobody wants to invest in a loser.
There you go. And even to your point of, I forgot who it was. It might even be Brock that I have this selective memory for. I think you said that some of his last few big matches he's lost. The majority of his, and that's even before the Taker streak. And of course, we don't remember that now because he went on one of the best runs in the history of the business after he beat Taker. But before that, he lost the majority of his main event matches. And so to me, they built him that way. They built him. I remember when I first saw Brock Lesnar, he had no neck. I mean, that's how big they made him, larger than life when he first debuted into WWE. So that it was my lasting impression, to the point where I think you and I even argue, like, Brock has been winning, but he hasn't. But because they originally built that character to be important, that you should care about this person, even though I don't like him, but that just means he's doing his job very well. But that's important. I didn't even realize he lost all these big matches. But I get your point there. I would rather you not even be on TV. I would rather you not be on TV if that means we're going to have a fair shake, or if that wrestler is going to have a fair shake at having a good trajectory. Because otherwise, you're going to be on TV. You're going to have 20 matches and win 3, and then not where we're at.
And of course, we're talking about winning or losing consecutive matches. We're not talking about just a one-off where, okay, hey, it's time to pull the belt off of Roman now, or it's time to pull the belt off Bianca, or hey, Moxley, it's time for you to finally lose because you've been winning. We're talking about Moxley. We look up and now Moxley's lost 5 in a row. Moxley ain't Moxley if he loses 5 in a row. Which, man, holy hell, was that main event last night ridiculous on Dynamite.
Are we going there now?
We can. I mean, if you guys got anything else WWE related, shoot.
I just know when we talked about what we was going to do today, I'm like, listen, all I got is Backlash and Dynamite. That's all I have for this week, which I guess is important, right? But I'm thinking about
Eshaun is completely not paying attention. I think he sometimes forgets like we're on video. I don't know if he was just doing like work emails right there or what, but he was in his own little world for those 8 minutes.
He is. He messaged us. He messaged us.
Oh, my bad. Yo, I see it right there. My bad, man. I blew your spot up. I digress. Let's keep the show going in. Either E, you can keep going with us or keep going back to what we'll hold it down for you. Rhodesia, you said it. That main event on Dynamite, I had lower expectations on. I don't know why. Anything with Kenny Omega, I should not have low expectations on.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
They killed it.
Eshaun's back.
That was a hell of a main event on Dynamite.
You know how pissed I am though, because I missed last year. When they went to Detroit, you and Matthew got to go.
Guts. Yep.
Blood and Guts. I missed Blood and Guts, and I missed Dynamite there. Wow, I'm angry. I'm a big man now.
So, did you think the match was going to be what we saw? No, I'm not talking about the violence, but I don't think anybody thought we'd see broken glass and the cage breaking and thinking that Kenny completely blew his leg out and Moxley has a concussion in his brain, spilling all over the floor at Little Caesars Arena. Not that, but did you think that match was what it was going to be heading into that show?
Okay. Yes, but because Kenny has never let me down. And honestly, Moxley has really never let me down. My complaint with Moxley was always that he bled it within the first 30 seconds of a match. But outside of that, either one of them has never let me down in a match, at least to my memory or my recollection. But the layers to that and what happened after the match, if we're going to go there now, hell has frozen over. So the first time when hell froze it over, it was when Vince retired. This is the second time hell has frozen over. What?
It's funny too, because he talked about how like for Io and Bianca, he was on the ride, right? He was just enjoying it. That's how I was in that match last night. So I get on Twitter after and people were like, hey, we saw it coming, but it finally happened. And I'm thinking like,
I didn't see that coming at all.
I didn't see that coming in the slightest. That Don was going to turn on Kenny at that point. I knew eventually it was going to happen, but I didn't think to myself during that main event, like Don's going to cost Kenny this match at all. And then to stab him with the screwdriver.
I mean, and how violent was it? With glass, like broken glass, not this shattered glass where it goes. There's an actual term for it when the glass breaks into these little pieces, these little pebbles. No, this is straight. I had a beer bottle. I cracked that bottle outside, and now it's in this bag. How sick was that? Oh my God!
Overall, just it was great. It was. I thought it was the perfect balance of hardcore violence, wrestling, and it fit. It fit because of the stakes that we've been seeing with the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club leading up all these weeks. It wasn't just violence for the sake of violence. It was, no, this is a beef. Now, granted, of course, they go back years and years and years. Hell, we know Moxley was the one that jumped Kenny in his first appearance You know, he got
snaps.
Jericho's
Okay,
in the ring.
forgot.
Jericho's in the ring celebrating, and Moxley comes in and lays both guys out. So we know that
I forgot about that.
There is history there. But if you want to look at just, you know, over the last few weeks or not, what we saw made sense. Now I'm going to have to assume we're getting blood and guts again this year. I don't know. I thought they were going to do the outsiders. What are they called? Outcasts?
The Outcasts. Talking about the women?
I thought it was going to be a women's blood and guts when this first started. That feud is not hot enough to put them in blood and guts. This is, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's only, 3? Well, let's think this through. So you have Blackpool Combat Club, which is Brian, Cesaro, and it's only 3 of them, right?
Yeah, it is. Why is this leaving my mind? I call him Japanese.
And then it's only 3 in the Elite. Because I was thinking, okay, you bring Hangman in, that makes 4. But okay, so maybe you don't do blood and guts. But I think that this feud is warranting something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. But just fantastic stuff, man. I mean, the Dynamite this week was it brought back memories of what AEW and like I hate to say what they used to be or what they could be again, because it's not like the show has just completely sucked, but it has lost some of that specialness when you watch Dynamite. If you've been watching from day one, last night kind of felt like some of that came back, and I think it was and Miro coming back was great. Thunder Rosa coming back,
Lightning
was great. So you kind of had some of those surprises, those legit surprises. You had great matches. You had Tony, of course, out there talking about next week he's going to give a major announcement. I think we kind of know what that announcement is. We can talk about that in a second. But it was kind of like it had that legit feel of you don't know what's coming in each segment. And I do think some of that has gone away. And now I don't expect that every single week. But with a new show coming, Punk coming back, who else knows who they're signing? They just announced a couple days ago that they are going to TD Gardens for the first time in Boston, which is where the Celtics play. That's the biggest arena that they can book in Boston. We know who's from Boston. Is it a perfect time now to bring her in?
Who's from Boston?
We'll see.
Oh, snaps.
Tickets going on sale this Friday for that. That show was in July.
No, I'm not falling for Mercedes anymore.
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna wait until she gets where she's going. That's what I ain't doing that with y'all anymore.
Miro, Thunder Rosa, CM Punk, Mercedes. I mean, if you know whoever else you want to maybe kind of throw out there. Yeah, he's gonna lose again. They have a huge summer and fall heading their way. But I know you said you had some things on Dynamite. What'd you have?
So I'm just going to start off in the beginning. I thought, and that's why I had to write down a little bit more notes and then go back to it to see how I really felt. I thought I was just on that Backlash hangover. Like I was still feeling like that honeymoon. I was still feeling good because what's it called? Double Jeopardy match had Claudio in there. And I'm like, oh my God, Claudio's still on a TV again. Right. And I'm like, hold up. This match was hella good. Hella good. And the stories they were telling about it and to Eddie, well wishes for you. I think he had hernia surgery. He just had. Yeah, so may he heal from that super quick. But that match started off at any other time. I would have been like, oh my God, Claudio starting off the show. But it actually was a really great match. And from that, it just kept going. It kept going. It kept going. I had some high hope for it last week because of when they mentioned like the House of Black Rules match they were having. I was actually kind of hyped, coming up for this Wednesday. But they did not let me down. And you're right. It felt almost reminiscent of early on AEW. So for me,
yeah, it was. And I think what they were able to do was, and they popped a great rating too.
Oh,
so gotta shout that out. I think they did 877,000 or 873,000, which is up from last week. They did 776,000, and the highest rated segment this week was 953,000 viewers. Woo. That is strong. Seeing what they went up against, they had some stiff competition yesterday with other sports on and things of that nature. Yep. So it's time to get back going. And of course, a healthy wrestling business is the best. I put out something last week. You just think about what we've seen now in the last 10 to 14 days from a wrestling business perspective. Bad Bunny, co-main eventing a show in his home country. You have AEW selling over 60,000 seats for their UK debut. Impact, that more people are talking about Impact than they have
in years.
In at least, I don't want to overstate it. Tell me if I'm wrong, at least a decade? Is that crazy to say that? That was when, 10 years ago, I think AJ was already gone from Impact, right?
I think so. Well, he never went to NXT. He went straight into WWE. So I don't know if Eshaun, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to think. Because he left Impact and then went to New Japan.
Right. He was in New Japan for years.
About a year and a half. Wasn't there super long. And then he went to WWE. But I can't. How long ago was that?
So we at least can say 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years.
At least 5 years, 6, 7. Yep.
That's incredible. And we should be applauding that, hey, everybody's doing better today than they were yesterday. The wrestling business is super, super healthy. So back to Dynamite. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight? Oh, I really enjoyed, of course, the House of Black match. It was not lost on me that Rick Knox never calls anything in the world. The match could be going on for 2 minutes outside the ring. He's still stuck on 3. People could be all in the ring. Doesn't matter. Nobody tagged. Rick Knox not calling nothing. Last night, they had him refereeing a match that had extra rules. That is not lost on me. That was like that.
That's
ridiculous.
The irony there, right?
But yeah, I thought that was really good.
I'm about to have another hot take here. And this is on Dynamite. So I can't speak for Elevation Dark. I actually don't even know the names of them. Sorry. But I'm just going to say it. This is a question, though. Is the only... Oh, this is about to come off really bad. I feel that Anna Jay's best matches are street fights or DQ, no DQ type matches. Is that because her work rate in technical wrestling is still not there?
Well, I think a street fight is kind of hard to pull off in a lot of ways as well. Now the thing about a street fight, they don't have to kind of adhere to traditional rules and maybe even selling and some of the stuff, right? Because they're legit getting hit with stuff. So it's easier to sell if you're legit in pain. But I will say that probably was her best match to date. I didn't think of it in that way, to be honest with you, but that was her best match to date. I think it was Julia's best match to date as well. And
I would think so too. On Dynamite, at least, for me.
Certainly has the right shirt.
You know what, y'all? I asked the question about street fights, not about the apparel.
Hey, we gotta give it up all the way around, right? For the marketing, it was on point. Top notch.
If you guys don't know, her shirt says she has a fat ass and a bad attitude. She's a legend in my book.
Marketing on point.
A hardcore legend. No lies.
So there she goes. She's a hardcore. Detective. She's a hardcore wrestler. There we go.
Yes.
Maybe she should bring that division back, or that whatever you call it, the hardcore champion. Because to me, I feel like that is the only times I see her shine is when she has some type of street fight type hardcore match, and she shines bright. She shines bright.
I didn't like her last street fight match, to be honest with you.
I did.
You talking about the one from Rampage, the tag match?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like that match. I think some of her when she missed the table.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about. That was the one that was on Rampage.
Yeah. I felt really bad for her. Kind of took me out of the match. That match seemed really dangerous. So for me as a fan, it's kind of took off from that match. But yeah, I'm with you though, Rhodesia. I did definitely think that was one of her best showings. Hey, I don't know if you guys mentioned. I had to step away for a second. But Christian, man, what a master heel. What a master heel, right? And we talked about the piped in boos on Raw. You know, those wasn't them weren't piped in boos. Those was legit crowd heat. My home city, yes, what they gave me. Nice, legit crowd heat.
It was not this. It was legit heel heat.
It was legit heel. And what a master Christian is too, because at the end of that promo, he said, you know, hey, Detroit, kiss my ass, right? And he just stormed off, and all you see is his ass, right? So like legit, like
Well,
what a master.
I didn't see his ass, so maybe I have to go back and look. I'm not sure what you were looking at, but I absolutely did not see his ass. Was that before or after Anna Jay's match? That may have been why.
I want to say
know.
before.
Let me look my notes. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
I mean,
know.
you
All
didn't
right.
legit see his ass. But,
Oh,
you know,
okay, all right, got it.
Yeah,
got it,
but
got it,
you,
got it, got it.
but you know, the way he said "kiss my ass" and he kind of turned around and stormed off, right? Because you know, like Luchasaurus is still left in the ring, right?
he stormed off like Cody.
Yeah, he just stormed off. Oh man, no. Hey, the memes that the internet created off that gorilla walk that Cody did on that show. Sometimes they undefeated.
I love what Christian did, and it was so simple, but it was so effective. He started the promo just by saying, "Detroit, shut up." got him hook, line, and sinker. And all I need is heat. I said that so you can give me heat throughout this entire promo because it's going to add to what I am saying. And it was masterful because it didn't come across. If you didn't know any different, you're just like, man, this guy is really hated. No, he told the crowd to do exactly what they did. Of course, Detroit was there to continue that heat throughout the entire promo, but he set it up perfectly. Once again, enjoyed it. I do have a little bit of an issue, though, with why he is the TNT #1 contender. I know he said, last night, because I'm Christian. Dude, last time we saw you, like, Jungle Boy killed you, throw you in the casket, and you dropped.
I think but then they say, like, they said on commentary that he has the best record. This win and loss. I think that he has, like, the most wins right now. I thought
you can't get a championship shot after losing a match.
Like, you died.
You haven't wrestled since then.
Yeah, your casket dropped.
You fell to hell. It just can't happen, man. That can't happen. Okay, you know what? Put him in there with Bandito on a rampage.
Bandito still lose.
He'll get his win back, get some momentum going. What else from Dynamite you guys want to talk about?
So when are we going to see Miro and Thunder?
Got to keep watching. AKA Collision in a few weeks on Saturdays.
Right. I missed the Thunder reference. But, one of the press releases that I recently read said that, Rampage will kind of become like their version of Sunday Night Heat or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, their version of Sunday Night, like, that's what it is now. I
think it's less than. I think it's more like Wrestling Challenge. All my old school
Wrestling
WWF
Challenge
wrestling fans know about Wrestling Challenge. It was on Sunday. It was all squash matches for the most part. You could miss Challenge. You couldn't miss Superstars. You could miss Challenge.
Superstars was on Saturdays, right?
Yes. It is Wrestling Challenge for AEW.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah,
see? My Wikipedia moment. I'm gonna pull that up. Go ahead, keep talking.
Hey, no, Wrestling Challenge was legit too, because back then we only got 1 hour wrestling a week. And wrestling was WWF at the time was hot. So to get a second show was good for me. Now I gotta be honest with you, maybe in my mind, Superstars were squash matches too, though.
It was, but it wasn't like Challenge. Challenge was like the second tier. Like Hogan was never on Challenge unless it was a promo package. Like never. You would get Warrior maybe on there, but like typically you didn't get like your top guys on Challenge. You got your top guys on Superstars. Well, while you are kind of talking about that, they did say, I guess today or yesterday, the new AEW TV deal is going to be announced next week at the TV upfronts in New York City. That is what I'm going to assume Tony Khan was alluding to yesterday when he said, hey, we got a big announcement on next Wednesday's show about the future of AEW. I think that's where, of course, they announce Collision. I am also hoping at the same time they announce that All In is going to be available on Max, which is the streaming service. They have still not said it is on pay-per-view. So I am hoping that, hey, we get some of that announcement too. But positive, exciting times are here, guys. AEW is getting now a secondary first run show, majority live for 2 hours every Saturday. Looks like they also re-up their contract with WB Discovery. I saw one report that said it was worth $1 billion. I don't know. I know that the financials have not been discussed yet. I don't know how long that's for, but I think one of the things I'm really excited about for AEW is now that they're in their second term or a second contract for their TV rights, they're set for life. Unless Tony Khan wants to sell, he's good. Because now this contract is going to give them enough money to where when this deal goes up, and just say worst case scenario, there's not another company or another TV provider that they want to go with. They can probably go strictly streaming if they want to. But the good thing about having that second deal is now they have facts to what they're going to talk about. This is our second deal. This is the money that we had. This is the money we generated, et cetera, et cetera. It's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal once again for the health of professional wrestling. So shout out to them. Let me go ahead and hit the round of applause for that, because that's a really, really big deal. So we'll find out next week. I don't know if the financial terms will be known, but I'm sure that the official statement of Collision will be here. And then that, of course, we know brings CM Punk. So that's something we kind of already knew. We already talked about Collision. We knew that it was going to be under the Warner Brothers Discovery Network. Any thoughts on, hey, it's here and it looks like it's 2 thumbs up, it's a go?
And anytime you can grow, and he's a businessman, so I would imagine he's growing at the pace he wants to grow. If you can grow, bravo to you. Go get it. And hopefully then the next step in this would be to go public.
Yeah, big news for the company. You definitely want to see any company grow. It looks like we're going to have AEW around for a long time. That's great news. Man, and we've been seeing Tony Khan popping up on this show a lot over the past couple of months, right? Like, I don't know if he's gotten some ratings that when he comes on TV, it pops ratings or something like that. But we've seen him a lot. I think next week's announcement might be the best announcement that he's made, because he's made like, hey, let you guys know we got a new TV show coming out. Tony, you could have put that in a press release, man. I was good, right? He's had a lot of, I think, lackluster announcements, that he shouldn't have appeared on TV for. But I think this is going to be a big one, and I think it's a great one.
No, it is. It is for sure. If you guys, of course, we don't know anything about Collision yet, right? But we know it's going to be 2 hours. They're talking about it on Saturdays. It's going to be live the majority of the weeks. If you could only watch one show, once again, we don't know anything about who's going to be on the show, how they're setting it up. It sounds like it's not going to be as hard of a brand split as we thought initially. There will be some cross-pollination on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but I'm betting money that Thunder Rosa is on Saturdays, Miro's on Saturdays. It only makes sense because we just saw him. Punk, of course, is going to be on Saturdays. And we know they're going to need probably 1 or 2 other major stars to get us to tune in on a Saturday. If right now you had to pick, I can only watch one. I can only watch Dynamite weekly, or I can only watch Collision weekly. Which show are you picking?
Give me Dynamite.
So I thought about something. If we kind of do legit get a soft brand split, and if on Saturdays we get Punk, FTR, let's say we also get Miro, 3 of my favorites right there. If they get Swerve and possibly like Malachi Black and the House of Black, because like what I'm thinking is that maybe, it's not necessarily, you see certain stars featured heavily on one show to others, and you have some other, talent kind of interchangeable coming in back and forth in and out. But we get like a certain core superstars like Punk, Miro, FTR, Swerve, or the House of Black. I'm watching on Saturday for those guys, and that's no shots against the elite that I think we'll probably get them on Dynamite and whatever their crew is. But if you give me Miro's, FTR, Swerve, or the House of Black, I'm all in on that.
See? And that's why I asked. I think that they're going to, whatever they present on Saturdays has got to be almost kind of like must watch. You're starting a brand new IP. And we saw with Rampage. Rampage started out really strong the first, I would even say 6 to 8 weeks. And then it started being taped a little bit more. And then got some injuries. So we're saving everybody for Dynamite. So we don't see a lot of people on Rampage. And then it is what we know it to be now. But I do have to shout out, if you guys did not watch last, I don't even know what day it came on because they switched dates and time so much. Not their fault. But the Hardys match.
It was
Ethan
Friday,
Page.
but early. But it was early.
Yeah, it was okay.
It
So
was
it was early
right, yeah,
Friday
yeah.
afternoon. We DVR'd it or TiVo'd it, however you say it. That
Taped
was
it. We
fantastic.
taped
Go out of your
TiVo.
way to see it. I think it's up on
We taped
YouTube.
it.
The full extended version of it, which was not on TV. And I heard about that was even better. But shout out to everybody involved in that. E, I know you aren't big into the Broken Universe anymore. You kind of over it. I'm sure you haven't seen it. Go out of your way to watch it. You are going to be pretty impressed with just how the entertainment factor was of that. That was awesome. I probably won't watch Rampage again, but
Ooh.
I did check that out, and I thought that was pretty good.
Hey, the only thing about this Collision show before we get off of it, it's still on Saturday night from 8 to 10. And, in their
But does that really matter anymore?
Yes.
Because
yes.
Who watches? Well, I say that because who's watching live TV?
Well, I'm watching Dynamite live in general. I'm watching Raw live in general.
So here's the question for me, because like their audience skews young, and from 8 to 10 on Saturday, that's people are out. So does it matter? It matters on how the ratings are done. I know like for me, I'm not gonna be watching that Collision show, even though I might prefer to watch that over Dynamite. I'm not watching that show every weekend from 8 to 10. It's just not gonna happen. I'm probably gonna watch it probably Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Maybe Monday, afternoon when I get off work or something like that. So when does the rating count and matter for that type of show? Is it a day delay? Is it a half a day delay? How is that show viewed, and how can it be rated as a success based on when people watch it? Because I'm gonna think that a good portion of their audience is going to watch it on delay. It's going to watch it on DVR the next day or so afterwards for Dynamite. So when does my view count, and when does it matter? That's the question I have, because that's the only thing I think about that show, is that I just don't think that and I heard back in the day the DVR rating mattered if it was the same. I think it was like a certain hour time frame. I want to say 24 hours or same day or something like that. I'm not sure anymore because things have changed. Because even a couple of years ago, Sling and YouTube TV and things of that nature didn't matter or count towards the ratings, but they do now. So however they rate the view and when does it matter is going to count to how successful it's going to be, because no one's going to watch that show. I won't say no one. A good chunk of their audience, I don't think is going to watch that same night or live.
I think it's going to depend on what they present, because there's UFC fights damn near every Saturday. There's boxing fights every Saturday. Of course, when WWE does their PLEs, it's on Saturday. They don't have any issues with ratings. So I think it's going to be what they present, and is it going to be appointment viewing? That's going to dictate how many people watch. I don't think it has anything, to be completely honest. I really don't think it has anything to do with the day. This is the same argument we had when we found out that SmackDown was going to Friday years ago. Friday? Who the hell is watching TV and watching wrestling on Fridays? They're pulling 2.5 million viewers a week now on SmackDown. Granted, they're on network TV, but it's just the argument of, man, Friday night is a bad night. That's when people go out and enjoy themselves. But once again, if it's good product, though, you're going to make it appointment viewing. So I think that's going to be more of a thing. For me, which show is going to be 1 and which show is going to be 1A? There's got to be a number 1. As much as you can try to say, I'm going to try to split this down 50-50,
Dynamite.
That's not going to be a thing. So
because I'm going to be honest with you. Because I'll be honest with you. If I don't get to watch Collision by Sunday, there's no way in hell I'm watching 5 hours of wrestling on Monday night. me watching back Collision and watching WWE Raw. So if I don't get to watch it by Sunday, I'm probably not watching it.
That's a good point, Rhodesia. That's the thing, if because in to play devil's advocate with the Friday thing, in WWE, they have a totally different audience. Like they have an older crowd. And it's families. Exactly. So families are what? Usually home, right? Hey, at this point, I'm home typically with the wife. But it's date night for us, right? I'm doing something together. And for her, date night isn't watching wrestling. So like we're gonna be watching a movie, we're gonna be doing something else. But Fridays, family, older people, they're gonna be home. AEW's audience is a younger audience. Now, all right, is that audience, they're not even showing up for Rampage consistently, right? Like, they're only getting half their audience on a Rampage. I'm not sure what they're going to get on Saturday on a consistent basis. And with the PLEs, those are special events and attractions, right? So people can go to clubs, they can go to bars, they can go a lot of other places. And it's like kind of a party event for those shows because it's special. A AEW show that's on weekly every single week for the next 5 to 10 years, whatever this deal is going to be up, is going to be tough, especially if people are going, you know what? I'm not going to watch this tonight. I'm going to watch it on Sunday. And then when it gets on the DVR, this was what happened with Rampage for me. It gets lost on my DVR after a while, right? Because there's other things happening. There's other things I'm doing. There's other things that are fresher that I might want to watch instead. And it just gets lost on my DVR. I just don't watch it. So that's my only fear for Collision. We'll see. And I think it'll be a bigger indicator on Collision maybe 6 months from now. I think for the first couple of shows, it's going to spike, especially with Punk being back. The stars are going to put on that show because it's going to be a special event and occasion for a short term. But I'm wondering where it's going to be long term. And that's my struggle. Because I think, Rhodesia, you hit the nail. Is that, when am I going to get to watching the show? I'm not going to always watch it Saturday night. When am I going to watch it? If I don't watch it on a certain time or day, it might just get lost on my DVR.
We shall see. Because we'll find out next week if officially it is going to be on Saturdays from 8 to 10 or Saturday 7 to 9, whatever the case may be. We'll find out next week. What else, guys? That is, I don't have anything else. So I'm throwing it to you guys. Y'all got anything before we do a TFW moment of the week?
I do want to follow up about WWF Wrestling Challenge. So I'm not going to bore y'all and read the whole definition.
She done Googled it again. Oh,
yeah, that Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
Hey, we need a segment. It's Rhodesia's Google of the show, right? That's what we need.
And Google need to pay me too. But anyway, so look, it ran from 1986 to 1995. Okay, so I didn't get to WWE wrestling until like 99ish. But even Wikipedia is pulling back the curtain. They said this show had matches primarily with top tier and mid-level talent versus jobbers. They use the word jobbers.
Told you. It was Rampage, that was funny, man. It was Rampage. Imagine how much we would watch Rampage if that was the only second hour of TV for wrestling anywhere. You would watch it.
Why they use the word jobbers? That we got to protect wrestling. Kayfabe, isn't that what y'all say? Come on, jobbers.
We don't know who wrote that.
Yeah, Wikipedia, anybody can write that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you think Vince McMahon himself wrote that?
No.
Paul Levesque?
You might have, pal.
No. No.
But thank you for that Google moment of the week. We appreciate that.
It featured jobbers. How about that?
You got anything else from that you want to let the family know?
Nope. That was it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Eshaun, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, let's get to that TFW moment of the week.
Yeah. And mine's, as you guys know, I talked about it earlier, and I typically don't like talking about my moment of the week. I like to keep it special, and that's why even some weeks I'll throw in something that's kind of random as the moment of the week because I've already talked about it. But there was no way in the world I could go without saying it was Bad Bunny, his entrance in that Puerto Rico crowd for that. I gave my thoughts earlier in the show, but just for me, the best wrestling entrance I have ever seen across the board. So that is my TFW moment of the week.
Am I allowed? We haven't voted yet for me to give two or honorary or no? We can vote now. Am I allowed to do two?
Well, it is the TFW moment of the week, not TFW moments of the week.
Hey, Rhodesia, sometimes you gotta hey, look, Matt's gonna stop you from doing a lot of things. You gotta go into business for yourself. Do your thing and just say what you want to say. And
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Don't ask
Okay,
for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Yes, here you go. So the honorary mention of my moment of the week was I don't want to call it the run-in, but the spot with King Maxwell in the firm deletion match. Thought it was so cool. So Matt said, anybody who didn't get to see that on Rampage, go back and watch it. But how can I not give my moment of the week to the most incredible curb stomp that I have ever seen in my life? Seth Rollins curb stomping Omos off of the top rope. That is my TFW moment of the week.
Man, you guys gotta check out the video to see, a sick Rhodesia popping out of her chair talking about this curb stomp, Matt. I mean, spot. That's really great to see. My moment of the week is gonna be, it's not even a hot take, it's a fact take. That WWE Backlash was better than WrestleMania. It was the best PLE they've put on in years. I'm going to go out and say it from top to bottom. That show was amazing. Look, that Seth Rollins and Omos match was good. Like an Omos match. I actually cared about that, man, for a good 2 minutes of that match. Every match, every feel-good moment from that match, the crowd, the energy, that is why we are wrestling fans. The love, the passion that we saw from the fans, the wrestlers, the emotion. And damn it, we got it right. As I said earlier, Cody with the win on a big stage, right in front of a big crowd. It was an amazing, phenomenal show. Backlash, better than Mania. Let's go.
I was going to hit the cheer sound effect, but what I'll hit is the crickets sound effects. Because if you think Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar on top is better than Roman Reigns defeating Cody Rhodes on the biggest wrestling show in the history of the business, you got another thing coming, sir. Would you like to give us another moment of the week so you don't waste that one, or are you sticking with that?
I have some more.
WrestleMania Night 2, the finish was the worst finish in the history of that promotion. So we got to correct it. We got to correct it on Backlash with a Cody win to send what we got. It was an awesome night. And guess what we also got? We got a satisfying ending to a PLE. Who would have thought that a satisfying fan favorite winning would be the best decision on a feel-good show? Who would have thought that? I guess I'm not a booker, right? I don't want to send my fans home happy. I want to send them distraught. And I want them to wait and see a match a whole year from now. That's what I want to do for them. But let's digress. Let's take it home.
Yeah, I would say, but the problem is, though, the fan favorite did win WrestleMania Night 2. If you think Cody Rhodes has more fans than Roman Reigns, you got to stop watching wrestling now.
Either I think you guys are blind or deaf, because you guys saw the distraught look from the crowd. You were there. People were not upset. And also the people at home were upset. Dave LaGreca is still upset. Eshaun and his daddy, we still upset. So there's no way that was the correct finish. I don't care what Hater Matt and Rhodesia say. I don't care what Stone Cold say. I love you, Stone Cold, but your ass is wrong. You a carny. Your job is to trick people, because that's what you guys want to do. You don't want to send people home because you want to bait them into getting more later. I want more now. We got it at Backlash. Let's take it home.
Mark my words. If Cody Rhodes would have won at WrestleMania, and here's a hot take. If Cody Rhodes would have won at WrestleMania, the majority of the fan base would not care about Cody Rhodes as much as they do right now. Time stamp it, date stamp it, episode stamp it. When he wins the title, he would not be as over when he has the belt as he is right now. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Nope.
And look, and even Eshaun knows. Thank you for that, Eshaun.
No,
and thank
nope,
you,
you're
and
wrong.
thank you guys for listening
Wrong.
to the best secret in wrestling podcast.
Wrong.
That's freaking wrestling. The three of us, Triple Threat, hits you every single Friday. You guys know where to find us on your favorite platforms. Give us a follow. Let your friends and family know. Check us out. We also drop full episodes on YouTube every single week, as well at That's Freaking Wrestling. And on Twitter, we are at That's FNW. Thank you guys again. We appreciate your support. We will talk to you next week.